And you have doctors like me and Zach and many other doctors who, when we partnered with small doctors, we weren't, ready to be done. We wanted to keep going. We've continued to get better and better at it, both in opening them and also, watching them succeed. Every doctor who's opened a De Novo has had quite a bit of success. It's not just us, but I think that says a lot about the strategy and the due diligence we do when we're opening these.
I'm Dr. Scott Law, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Smile Doctors Off Mute podcast. All right. Well, welcome to the Smile Doctors Off Mute podcast. We are so excited today. We've had a ton of excitement, tons of questions around our De Novo opportunities and what that entails, how it is to be on the inside track. And I thought, what better than to get two of our greatest doctors who have had just extreme success in their careers doing De Novos to share their experience on how it's gone with Smile Doctors. And so really want to welcome to the podcast today, Dr. Ben Fishbein, who is our clinical director of De Novo, and also Dr. Zach Casagrande, who is our clinical director of aligners. And so welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thanks. Always a pleasure to be here.
All right. Sweet.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, would you guys mind giving some of our listeners just a little bit of the background on De Novo? Ben, would you mind chiming in a little bit about what is it? Why do we form this? And little of how long we've been doing it, all that good stuff.
Sure. So we've been really doing it or opening them since 2023, although we had the idea, a year or so before that. And you have doctors like me and Zach and many other doctors who, when we partnered with small doctors, we weren't, ready to be done. We wanted to keep going. So with the De Novo program, me and Zach and many other doctors have been able to continue growing our practices, not only organically within our core offices, but also opening new locations. And, at this point, we've opened up Small Doctors has opened up more than 10 De Novos, all doing super well. And we've continued to get better and better at it, both in opening them and also, watching them succeed.
Okay, so we'll jump right to it. So, Ben, what is super well? What define that? Just give some ranges on how performance has been.
Sure. So I'll speak for me and Zach here, but we both opened in 2023 and mid to late 2023, and both of our first De Novos have now each produced more than $7 million. Each. So in the first year alone, we each did over $3 million in our first De Novos. Now, Zach has multiple De Novos partnered with small doctors. I have 3 De Novos opening in the next 6 months, so I'm hoping to catch up to Zach. But every doctor who's opened a De Novo has had quite a bit of success. It's not just us, but I think that says a lot about the strategy and the kind of due diligence we do when we're opening these.
100%. I think it's something that Smile Doctors really wants to lean in on, because it seems to be that we've figured out where to put them, how it all happens, and how to make them successful, but very quickly. Zach, share your experience a little on you did De Novos before Smile Doctors, is that right? So you have some experience in this.
Yeah. So to me, it's very simple. You can do things really well on your own, and you can do things really bad on your own, or you can be somewhere in the middle, or you can know that you're going to do things really, really well with the help of other doctors and a support staff that has done it prior. So for example, I had 4 locations of my own prior to joining Smile Doctors in 2020. Ben and I both joined within a month of each other. So we kind of have a similar path. Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben had double that. He had 7 or 8 at the time he joined. So that's a total of 12, De Novos that we had. Maybe you had bought one of them or something. You had told me prior. So true startup practices, and you have the best doctors in the country that have made mistakes and have had success. And so you combine what we've all learned, and now we have this formula where I would never call anything foolproof, but it's pretty darn close to foolproof. So I had 4 prior practices of my own that have now merged with Smile Doctors, and I currently am working on my 3rd De Novo. When I say working on it, we're building it as we speak. Location's great. The first 2, locations, from picking where it's going to be all the way up to, carrying everything out, seeing patients that first day, and now 2 years in, we have massive support of Ben Fishbein, Amanda Gallagher, Matt Lineberger, Scott Law, all who have run massive practices, in their past. And Ben gave you some of the numbers, but it just works. It works really well, and it's a lot easier doing it with a group like this than doing it on your own.
So I get a lot of questions around Smile Doctors, right? All the doctors ask, hey, well, what does control look like? Do I get to make decisions? Do I have autonomy? All of that. How does it look when you're going into a build or choosing a site, or what is that, Ben? So how would a doctor be involved going into that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say you get as much control as you want. To be honest, for me personally, I don't like making every interior design decision. So fortunately, we have a great interior design team in Smile Doctors that has made that a lot easier for me. We have a great, I don't know his official title, but I'll call him a construction consultant, which is Shane Lynch. We got, Jason Huggins, who's, make sure that your lease or, you're not getting screwed over, which I was screwed over plenty of times before joining Smile Doctors. And you also have a broker who helps you find locations, or you can find them yourself. But I use our broker all the time because they can do a better job than I can. So a lot of resources that make your job really easy, and you can honestly be as involved as you want or not. I mean, I could literally probably open an office and go find the location, and then the next time I walked in could probably be seeing patients. I like to see, I like to go in a little more often because I love the process, but we've really, I think, got a good system down to open these new offices.
I love it. What's kind of the marketing component you've experienced, Zach, as you've built these out? How do you get it? How do you ramp them even before your doors open?
Yeah, kind of like what Ben said. You do what you like doing and what you're good at, and you try to delegate what you're not so good at. So Ben doesn't like dealing with the lease part of it. Not many of us do. I love the marketing piece. So that's something that I've always been highly involved with. My practices from the first day I opened my first location, 20 years ago to now. I'm not the one that hires clinical assistants. I am the one that's there for my marketing people. So we have a system now. That's what's great. And so you have, Ben's a big marketer too. Amanda Gallagher, big marketer, Matt Lineberger, big marketer, BJ Bagia, big marketer. So what has worked in the past? What has been successful? And you go back and we track everything and we come up with a game plan. So we literally have a calendar for my new location in McLean. And I know that next week I have to have X, Y, and Z set. I can be the one that decides X, Y, and Z, or I could delegate that to my team or our support staff. And then we move on from there. Obviously you can't wait to market until you open. So, I mean, we know that. So everything has to be set up properly. Fortunately, like I said, this isn't the first time we've done it. So we kind of know what's too early, because there is too early, and we know what's too late, and we've honed in on what works.
I love it. So I know through the course of our De Novos inside of Smile Doctors, we've had different people who, as you said, love the marketing side. They're very good at it. They've grown their practices with that. But we've also have some doctors who have never owned on their own. And so they came in as associate doctors, joined Smile Doctors, and then opened a practice, a De Novo, in this way. And so they didn't have a whole lot of marketing knowledge on the, prior. How does it go for them? Are they as successful, or what does it look like?
Yeah, I mean, there's one that comes to mind who he's doing fantastic, and he's, now I forgot how many. I think he's got he's part of another De Novo now, but Scott, you know him very well.
Yeah. No, you could say it. Yeah, Josh.
Josh is doing fantastic, and he was able to find an old dental office, did a build out for next to nothing, and even in the first 9 months, I think produced over $1 million. And when we say these offices are doing really well, these are not like, I see ads for like, these low fee offices. This is not what this is. This is just doing really good orthodontic work with a good strategy behind it and treating patients really well.
Right. I love it. It's exactly what it is. It isn't the bottom of the barrel. It isn't that. It's just an extension of the quality practices that we have currently. And so these doctors who don't come with a ton of experience in the build out, in the marketing to ramp, in all of that, that's why the team is there to help them be successful. I get many of our doctors who do join, who come out of residency, join Smile Doctors. What's their path to start? We get that question all of the time because a lot, as you said, I think a lot of orthodontists have an entrepreneurial, we have the entrepreneurial bone inside of us that we want to go and do and build and see something grow. And I think that's kind of where our doctors are. Do they be a part of a group? Do they come into a group like Smile Doctors, or do they go and do it on their own? What advice would you have for them?
Well, I mean, I would say, as someone who's done this alone, it's really nice to be part of a team who knows what they're doing. You're getting the best practices, or you're getting, the best ideas from the best practices in the nation of people who've opened many of these before. And then on top of that, you're working with real professionals who know what they're doing. Like I mentioned before, you have people who are going to take care of your lease, people who are going to take care of your build out, people who are going to make sure you're opening in the right location, which is super important. So, I would say when you look at the risk reward, I mean, it's there in terms of and it's a proven model. I mean, we've opened so many of these now, and honestly, every single one has been significantly more successful than the average new practice.
I agree with you. I think having opened multiple practices myself from scratch, several went great. And then I had one that just tanked. And I got overly ambitious. I thought whatever I could open would just turn to gold and work out. And that one has stung a lot over the years. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things is we can help doctors avoid that. That is a terrible, terrible feeling when you open something that's supposed to be revenue generating, but instead it's just sucking away all the profits from your current sites. And so it's a big one that as you say, it's really nice to have all these people and teams around to support us in the growth, but even better, it's the ones that say, here, you might want to avoid that. Let's not do that. You really don't want to do it for these reasons. And we can share that knowledge. That's been big. It's been really, really big. We get this question as well on the business development side. So we have doctors who want to join us, and predominantly now we do joint venture deals where doctors will join us. They retain a percentage of ownership in their practice, which is awesome because everyone is incented to continue to grow, and so we partner that way. They love it. They want to see they want to get that, integrate with systems and what's going on, and then go, hey, I really want to expand and grow around. What determines that? Where's kind of the tipping point of what advice would you have for doctors in that situation of when does it make sense to do a de novo?
Yeah, I mean, I think every situation is different, obviously. I'm talking to a doctor right now who's very interested in Smile Doctors, and he has a partner. Yep. So he's always had a partner, but their situation is unique in that the partner is on his way out. So he's 15 years older than my buddy who I'm talking to, and he has no interest in opening another practice at this point in his career. But this doctor does, and so it's perfect. So he's never owned a practice on his own. So those of you that are out there and you're thinking about joining and it just doesn't make sense because I have a partner. So Ben and I both owned 100% of each of our practices. So it wasn't an issue, but that's probably the minority. I mean, most big practices have partners. And so this doctor is able to say, hey, I'm going to, work this out in my deal where I have the ability to open X amount of de novos. And that's currently what he's negotiating with our business development team. And that's really exciting for him.
Yeah, I love it. That's fantastic. Yeah. I think that if you think about it again, we'd mentioned earlier that incentives align when we have that. I think all of us who join Smile Doctors know that it takes a great deal of work for things to be successful. And so the idea that people are going to come into Smile Doctors, join on, and then just skate, that doesn't happen. And so it's very much how can we work and achieve, to grow these practices, but it's in which ways. Where do we pay attention even more specifically? Where do we put the doctor focus even more and better? And it comes down to these de novos. It's the same way, but really getting our doctors aligned that way where they win financially, the patients win because higher level of care, and we just broaden our net all the way around. It's awesome. Very cool. What have been some surprises through the de novo process? Do you guys think what surprised you?
Well, I mean, I think the performance has been a pleasant surprise, not just for me and Zach, but everyone who's doing it is happy. I mean, we polled actually everybody at the last Smile Doctors summit meeting, and everybody said the process was great, and they're super happy with the numbers, super happy with the profitability. So that's a good surprise. I think another surprise is the amount of due diligence that's done prior to opening these. I can tell you, I opened a bunch before, and when I would open prior, I just kind of go with my gut, which is great, but not at a large scale. So I think the way we decide where to open practices, along with talking with the doctor who wants to open it. I mean, looking at the current patient plot, looking at the competitors, looking at the schools in the area, looking at the potential referral patterns, looking at the general dentists, looking at the pediatric dentists. I think the surprise to me is how well I think we've got it dialed in.
Yeah, I would agree. I know I do have to admit, when I was hearing the numbers that were being put out, I had to see the report for myself. Because I know how competitive you guys are.
Ben and I went back and forth. He's like, okay, because mine was a couple months ahead of Ben's, and I'm looking over my shoulder. I'm like, where is he?
I was looking at Zach's schedule. I was looking at his new patient schedule at the end.
Yeah. One thing, Scott, is that we've kind of, just like anything else you do, we've kind of gotten through all the little beginning bumps in the road, right? So those doctors that are doing it now, I mean, Ben and I were the ones, we did the first two. So we kind of took the headache, and so now future doctors, there's none of that anymore. So, to your point with numbers, for example, so in July, last month, we did $500,000 in production, and we're 2 years in.
It's unbelievable.
So are we a $6 million practice yet? No, it's July. We all know that's a big month, but still that's incredible for a practice that's only 2 years old.
Right. It's really, really amazing. And so, when I was pulling the report and I'm looking, I'm like, are these really legit? Because that's hard to believe. I mean, 3 million in the first year, that's unreal. And yeah, absolutely. Pulled it, checked it. And I know you guys were checking each day because you're that competitive. And so it's funny like that. But no, it really is. It's pretty cool to see that the process is smooth, and we just have those big pieces. We have those dialed in pretty darn good. I'm sure we're going to find things as we go, as we expand this. We're going to find unique, nuance here and there. But for the most part, man, it's pretty great to have a team. And I remember someone said this a few years ago. It is amazing to wake up, every day you have a team member who wakes up and their sole focus is to advance the business in this one single area. And when you have alignment that way all the way across, and as doctors, as joint venture partners, we have this at our disposal to be able to go and advance our business. It is powerful. So powerful. I envy this because, man, I remember trying to get some of my de novos up going while I'm trying to maintain my current practice, grow that as well, and try and deal with all the contractors, the lease, the decisions, all the stuff at the same time. And yeah, it's fantastic what we have set up now, just to make it so much better for the doctors. They get to focus on what they do best, how they can uniquely grow that practice, and what it is. It's awesome. So how would it go? I know, Zach, you're heavy aligners, really, really heavy aligners. And Ben, you do a mix, probably not to the percentage that Zach does. How is that taken into account? Even the design, the workflows, the number of chairs, all of that. How's that considered during the build?
Yeah, so we've all seen the evolution, right, of practices that were open bay with 10 chairs or 8 chairs or 12 chairs, whatever. For Invisalign, we have much smaller offices now because, all the efficiencies that we built in. So we have Josh Adcox, he's our clinical director for Smile Doctors for virtual care. Mm-hmm. So we use that on every patient. So we can treat a full complex class 2 deep bite, class 3 open bite, whatever it is, in 4 or 5 appointments with 3 employees in an office that's 1,800 square feet, right? And that's what we're doing in my first location that, I just was talking about the numbers. So that's a really efficient, lean operation where we're delivering excellent patient care. And, Ben brought it up. These are not just insurance. I mean, these are, the best doctors, the best results for the patients. And I always have preached that to my team from the beginning, and that never changed when I joined Smile Doctors. And so for my location, you always say, like, we all have little things we do on the outside of ortho. It never works as well as we're really good at doing I'm really good at an Invisalign practice. Ben's really good at running practices that are way bigger than mine. I think he's the top producing orthodontist in the entire country. So do it that way. And so when Josh Adcox calls me, he's like, how many chairs do I need for this location? It's going to be smaller, the one you were just talking about before. And I could explain how to do that. If he's like, I'm going to do, an operation more like Ben, he's going to Ben. So Ben's was totally different from mine.
Yeah. Ben, on the pricing and determining how that is. And I know we have the advantage of being a part of the largest orthodontic, the OSO that we have. And so our insurance rates are pretty great. Does that play an effect as far as profitability goes early on?
Oh, 100%. Right. So we're getting, better rates now than we did prior to Smile Doctors, which has been fantastic. And then, thanks to you and Zach, we're paying, we get a great deal on our Invisalign and some of our other products too. So that helps with profitability. Maybe Zach can speak on that, but it is interesting when you talk about Zach's practice, talk about my practice. Zach is 80+% Invisalign, I think, correct me if I'm wrong. And, 20% maybe braces, and my practice is the inverse of that. So it's just interesting. We don't have, it's not cookie cutter. We can, design the right office for the right provider, depending on what that provider wants and what their strategy is. But I do think one other really strong part of Smile Doctors, particularly for somebody like me and Zach who want to open up more offices, or any other doctor who joins who wants to open up more offices, is we probably have the best recruiting team in orthodontics in terms of recruiting doctors. I mean, I've been able to recruit the best group of doctors I've ever had. And it's also way easier. And not only that, those doctors are being able to get things that I was not able to provide them. They're getting equity. They're getting bonuses. They're getting paid, significantly more than I was able to compensate them for. So it really is a win all around.
Yeah, I totally agree. It is. I love our doctors, and man, it's such a nice thing to be able to unify the business and the clinical to do what makes the most sense and what will give the patient the best outcome. I mean, having technology at our disposal to be able to use in any way, just to increase the patient experience and the level of outcomes, it's just so great. And all in all, it ends up just taking a lot of the stress away from the doctor on the things that are outside that can be delegated away, so the doctor can focus on being a doctor, on advancing the clinical care and the relationships and the trust within the community all the way around. And that's really the success. It's all of these pieces that make it so great. It's fantastic. Well, I'll ask you guys any other input, any questions you might want to address yourselves on things that you've been asked about De Novo?
I mean, I get questions all the time. I had a doctor who's been with Smile Doctors. He's in my state, so he's in Virginia. I've known him since, I was a part-time faculty. He was a student. He has one of the most efficient practices that I've seen the numbers on, as far as, his margins are really, really good. And he called me and we talked about another part of Virginia that he could potentially open in. And he had a lot of concerns. And I've always had the mindset, I really don't care about how many other orthodontists are in the area I want to go to, because we're going to deliver the best results for our patients. We're going to have the best team. We're going to have the best doctors, et cetera. So I kind of said to him exactly what we were just talking about, Scott, which was, as soon as you open that practice, the bottom line is, it's going to be way better than if some doctor just opens a practice on their own, because we have negotiated the best insurance rates. We have negotiated the best pricing on everything. So from zero to profit is way faster. And so I just reminded him of that. I said, hey, if you want to go to this area, go. Like, look what you've done in an area that I don't think is even close to as good as this area. And he's able to say, okay, not that he's saying I'm bored. I'll be honest, I get bored easily. And so stuff like this keeps me going. And that's basically what he's going through right now for the first time. And so for him, it's, hey, he's coming up on his contract, almost being done with Smile Doctor. He's like, he didn't even hesitate. He's like, I'm definitely gonna be a part of Smile Doctors. I just want to know what you think about this area. And if you think I go to Ben in Virginia and say, hey, I'm going to pitch this De Novo idea, it's good.
Love it. Love it. Love it. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, I think one of the big differences for Smile Doctors when I joined, or even longer ago, is it's not really about selling anymore. The way I look at it is Smile Doctors can be a growth partner. You have JV, you have De Novo. So I think, for people who, maybe want to take some of the risk off the table, but at the same time want to keep growing. And I would say I was probably in that position. Yep. I think, Smile Doctors is one of one in terms of being able to help you open and grow and do all the things you want to do while, still taking some of that risk off the table.
Yeah. Very, very well said. I think that's it. We all want to grow. We all want to provide the best for our patients and for our teams. And this is yet another tool that doctors have in their career in orthodontics and with Smile Doctors to do just that. You guys are fantastic. I look up to you. I love the way that you lead, the way you treat patients, the way you treat other people. And so thank you for being just amazing partners and influences in my life. So thanks for joining us and sharing all this today with our audience. Have an awesome day.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Scott.